Hello, I am going to read a story. It's called The Dragon Who Couldn't Puff. It's for ages 4 to 6, if anyone wanted to know. Okay, so, let's see. Once upon a time, there was a little dragon. He was the sweetest little dragon you ever saw. He was just the size of your thumb, no larger. He looked as though he'd been cut from a gleaming green crystal. He had pearly scales and a backbone of purple, pointed spikes. His teeth were white and sharp. He was a lovely little specimen. His name was Gristillin. That was his name. Gristillin lived in somebody's pencil case. He was a variety of house dragon. Perhaps you've never heard of a house dragon. Not many people know about them, but they live in all sorts of places, in all sorts of houses, and are really quite common. Maybe there's a house dragon in your house. You never know. Okay, next. They snuggle down in fruit bowls and flower vases, and at the back of bathroom drawers. They are invisible in the day and only come out at night. That does not mean you can stay up late to find a tiny dragon. Okay, where was I? They are invisible in the day and only come out at night, when the moon is 3/4 full and it's summertime. They love the summer. All the rest of the time, being very lazy and comfortable little creatures, they like to spend time sleeping, plumping, and with chocolatey dreams of shiny quartz, tinkling stars, and zippy little motor cars. But this story happened one of those summer times when the moon was 3/4 full and Gristillin was wide awake. The little dragon had slept well the last 9 months of the year and was in the mood of doing something fun. He saw that all the bigger house dragons were extremely good at puffing fire and decided that he too would like to puff like they did. Gristillin's mother, Freedale, was making herself a cup of hot chocolate in a bottle lid. She blew hot little puffs that made the mug glow. Gristillin thought how nice it would be to make himself a hot chocolate. He curled up beside her and watched her for a while. He thought it looked easy. So, when she flitted out to nibble the insects on the basil bushes, leaving the steaming cup on the windowsill, Gristillin leaned forward and gave an experimental puff of his own. But nothing happened. Not a thing. He blew harder. A big blue flame burst out of his mouth and both his nostrils. Oh no, his eyebrows caught on fire. Gristillion's older sister, Molly Mook, fell over her snout laughing. She had been watching from the dog bowl. Gristillion blushed a deep shade of green. He flew into the kitchen and hid in the fridge for a while, putting his face into a jug of cream to cool it down. Eventually, there was a squeaking sound, and his mother poked her lovely blue face through the refrigerator seal. "What are you doing in here?" she asked him. "And why is your face all white?" Gristillon was ashamed and didn't want to talk about it, but Molly Mook had told her everything. "Don't be worried about what your sister said Gristillion's mother. Do you know what happened when Molly Mook tried to blow fire the first time? She made a very rude noise. Everybody thought it was Grandpa." Gristillon giggled. "But how do you puff?" he asked. "Well," said his mother, "you twist your lips like this, and you imagine you're about to sing the first note of Happy Birthday. And you just kind of breathe out and trust that it will happen." Gristillon tried. Nothing happened. "I don't want to do it anyway," he said. "Don't give up," said his mother. "If you give up, you know for sure that you'll never do it." Gristillon scowled. He didn't want to hear that. He had decided he wouldn't practice, and he wouldn't. So he didn't. And for all the time he was a dragon without a puff. But one day, as the moon grew fuller, Gristilian looked at his watch and saw it would soon be winter, and soon he would have to go back to his long seasonal sleeping time with fantasies of ice cream and bunnies to hold, wavelets of icicles, shivery cold. Suddenly he thought how cold it was, in the bottom of the potato bowl where he usually hibernated. Suddenly he thought how nice it would be to have a nice hot water bottle, one that he could just cuddle up with, and every time it got cold, just make a nice little puff and warm it up all again. That would be nice. It wasn't anyone's birthday, but Gristilian snuck into the baby's room and practiced his puffing again and again. He knew no one would see him in the baby's room, because all the house dragons were scared of humans, especially bald ones with one glistening tooth, the same size as a grown house dragon. But Gristilian was not afraid of a baby, because she was little, like he was, and a really very nice little person. So Gristilian snuggled between two teddy bears, and in the dark he puffed and puffed to the sound of the baby snoring. All sorts of rude noises came out. Big flames burst out untrammeled, and little squeaks and sparks. Baby heard none of it. Hours and hours passed. Gristilian's forehead singed, and his cheeks were aching. And finally he realized that he just couldn't learn to puff in one night. He'd need to practice much longer. The winter would come and he would have no hot water bottle this year. He would have to wait till next year and practice more. And it would only be after a lot more practicing that he might just learn to puff. But it was really quite nice and warm. Gristilian saw that even if he couldn't puff this winter, he'd found a cozy little bed. He tucked himself into Teddy's back seam and found his cozy place for the winter. And he'd just have to practice more next year. Do you think he'd be able to do it? I'm sure he'd be able to do it. All you need is a bit of practice.